Good evening, Winterview, back again with another brief dialogue from his dear friend Anastasia. Once again, he is driving along the great open highway, letting his thoughts drift to matters non-dual. And why not take this chance to capture the wisdom on MP3? Great idea. So much wisdom on this MP3 file that it will download into your deepest, most spiritual part of your mind and enlighten you instantly with the sheer awesomeness of the spiritual power. Okay. After that amazing intro, let's get real. Let's talk serious as he dodges a car who does not know what he is doing. Okay. Danger over for now. This non-dual, spiritual, esoteric, mystical dialogue thing is going to be on the dream character. This is a never-ending source of confusion for the poor, helpless, defenseless seeker. So I thought I would take a little time out of my busy schedule to go into a little of the dream seeker stuff. See if we can really nail it down, so to speak. I think I've talked quite a lot about the Dream Seeker, but it's never hurts to revisit the basics, you might say. Okay, so let's try and start in a sort of a grounded way and build up. Let's go with the real basics. We know that there is existence. And how is that known? Because something seems to be happening. There seems to be something going on. We don't have to say what is going on exactly. We could define it in so many different ways, depending on your intelligence, your perspective, your culture, etc., etc. We don't have to say what is happening, just something is happening. And that something is known because there's an awake awareness within this something, you could say. We don't know at this stage if this awake awareness is in some ways separate from what's going on. It's impossible to disentangle, really. The mind, or the thoughts, or the brain, if you prefer, seem to add concepts and ideas that float in and out of this appearance. The ideas are about the appearance very frequently, as in what's happening around us. We register the ideas, or the ideas are registered in this awareness as well. We presume naturally that the ideas belong to us. These are my ideas. And in some cases, we take the ideas to be us. The ideas themselves are defining characteristics of myself. I am my thoughts, so to speak. But we don't know that. So the mind, as I've said in other dialogues, works in the cause and effect principle, paradigm. Cause and effect. It has to attribute cause to an effect. And by effect I mean an object. And the object, by object I mean a thought object. We don't know if there are objects in this world that we see around us, except as they're reported by thought, by mind. So an object in the world, you could equally say, is a thought object. And being the mind, it has to attribute a cause, not to the object, but to the perceiving of that object, the seeing of the object, the awareness of the object. When you hear the word "of," there's a clue right there in that it's a duality. It's awareness of. And so the "of" must be some kind of aware thing. And why not give it a label? It's a person. The person, or the identity, or the me, must be, according to the mind, aware of the world and the objects that make up the world. And so, in this instant, I am born. This ever-present awakeness is uninterrupted. It's a seamless, present, I don't know what to call it, something, we'll say. And attributing it to ourselves, as the mind does, this presence, I am this presence, it feels like I exist seamlessly. There's nothing that interrupts my existence. My thoughts do not interrupt my very existence. My emotions, as up and down as they can be, do not interrupt my very existence. My existence, it seems, impervious to the objects of the world. But I'm afraid, deep down, what I'm afraid of is that this existence that I so dearly love and cherish will one day cease to exist. I think I was born X years ago to my parents, and I will live out this life for X years, and at one point, either by foul play, perhaps, natural disaster, perhaps, some catastrophe, calamity, cataclysm, or even just bad luck, or old age even, I might die and will not exist. So the life of this person, life of me, so to speak, is a precious gift, it seems, that I need to take care of and support and nurture, lest I die, which would be terrible. And I love my existence, so I certainly do not want to cease to exist. This I that I think I am, that probably lives in the body, I reason, or might even be the body, it needs to be protected and defended. And that's not just in the physical realm, it's also in the socio realm as well, where my status or standing relative to my peers or my culture, my friends, my families is very important. And so I need to imbue this character that I am with qualities that will enhance my status, my self-esteem, my standing, my position, and so forth. And so my life, in the end, seems like a dance around the world, you might say, a progression to improve, to grow, to learn, and so on and so forth. It's a wonderful, wonderful story, except there's one teeny tiny problem. One small, little, simple, trifling matter that we might have overlooked, and that is that this person that I think I am, this I that I am, is unreal. It has no existence at all. And therefore, all the endeavours that I undertake on behalf of this I that I think I am are in some ways a fool's errand. Yet, paradoxically, they continue. The activities that seem to be related to a separate independent person continue without a person in there doing any of that. In the world of spiritual stuff, spirituality, etc., this is sometimes referred to as the dream. That life is a dream. But it's worth being clear, I think, personally, on what exactly is being referred to in that dream. What is the dream, so to speak? Some people, I feel, get this a bit confused and think the world is a dream. We don't know if there is a world. We don't know enough about what this world is or isn't to say whether it is or isn't a dream. That remains an ongoing mystery. But the dream in this metaphor refers to the I. And not only does it refer to the I or the person, it refers to that which is personal. Anything that the individual thinks it is doing for itself. The individual's story, you might say, or the story of their life. That is a dream. And the reason it's a dream is a couple of reasons. First and foremost, the word dream is appropriate because it suggests an unreality to the whole thing. The other part of the dream is that it, even though there isn't anyone doing it, it just happens automatically. So when you go to sleep at night and dream, there's no question that you're causing the dream or making the dream do what you want it to do. Now, I know people might jump up and down and go, oh, but what about lucid dreaming? Once again, no one is doing lucid dreaming. It's just the appearance of being in charge of a dream, you could say. So that is the essential nature of this I. It is a dream, a dreamed character living in a personalized dream world. In this dream, this character, it suffers, it experiences pain, it experiences difficulty, challenges, and it also experiences good stuff as well. And being intelligent, hopefully, the idea is to maximize the good stuff and avoid the bad. That is broadly speaking, the goal of the person in the dream. And the reason is that because the individual, the I, the me, feels in some ways separate or separated from the totality of experience, cut off, you could even say, it feels like there's a race against time in some ways to make one's life work, to achieve goals, to build up one's life in terms of accomplishment and status, wealth, power, all that sort of stuff. It feels like that is in some ways the goal, but we know on that goal it's very dissatisfying a lot of the time. We have peaks which feel great, and we have troughs, and we, being intelligent, try and maximize the peaks and avoid the troughs, you could say. Some of us who are a little bit more clever than others try and take on an attitude of equanimity, which is kind of a Buddhist-y thing, and it's yet another good idea, you could say, in the dream. And the idea is basically suggesting, yes, life is up and down, which is awful, and I'm sick to death of the ups and downs, so what I'm going to try and do is become more sort of neutral about everything, a bit beige, and therefore I flatten out my experience by not having all the peaks and troughs anymore. So although I'm losing my highs, I'm avoiding my lows, and I do this by being neutral, and take on a neutral attitude, a benign, equanimous sort of everything's okay, everything's fine attitude. And this is yet another clever strategy to make life work a bit better. And then I've got therapy somewhere in there. This person that I think I am has certain flaws and difficulties and things that are yuck, and I need to somehow improve those to make the experience of life work a bit better. So I go to therapy and we look at my beliefs and we look at my attitudes and opinions. We might look at my behaviors. We might look at my coping strategies. We might look at my family structure, what I'm engaging my time in, and so on and so forth, all in the ultimate, towards the ultimate end of somehow improving my existence, minimizing the pain, maximizing the pleasure. And this is how it rolls on. And then one day I hear of a thing called enlightenment. This, perhaps I read a Buddhist book about the Buddha, perhaps I heard a talk about the sort of Buddhic nature of Jesus even, that Jesus might have been an enlightened being of some kind, or perhaps I just met a guru of some description who told me about liberation / enlightenment. And this is a fabulous idea, because in this story of my life that doesn't seem to work as well as I want it to, this seems like the ultimate cure-all, the ultimate fix. If I can get myself enlightened, then everything will be hunky-dory. I'll have a great life from that point on. And this takes us into a whole amazing realm of spirituality. Now, the difficulty is that because I've never experienced this thing that's called enlightenment or liberation, I have to take in accounts of others to try and gauge what it is exactly I'm looking for. And I see these masters or spiritual sort of legends and gurus, and I presume that whatever it is that they have is somehow what I need. I notice, for example, that a lot of them are very sort of peaceful and gentle souls. So I think that if I can cultivate those qualities, a sort of benign neutrality, then this will somehow bring me closer to this thing called enlightenment. I see that some of them are very generous of spirit, noble of heart. I see that some of them are vegetarian. I might try that too. A lot of them just sort of sit around smiling, sort of not quite idiotically, but a little bit of a half smile, like they're in on a joke. I need to kind of do that as well. And sometimes I hear that everything's a concept, that life is a concept, that myself is a concept, and so on. And when I learn that, this is great news. It means that all those things that I took seriously in the past, I can just kind of write them off now as they're just concepts. I don't have to worry anymore about anything. It's all just a concept. And this makes me feel calm and neutral in some ways. And this feels like a more spiritual position, a more spiritual attitude. I talk to some people about enlightenment, some so-called masters or advanced seekers, and I hear about the energy systems in the body, and that I somehow need to be focusing on these energy systems in order to open up energy centers, chakras, etc., getting the energy to move around the body in a particular way. And I think if I can do that, I can somehow become closer to enlightenment. And you might notice that all the while this is going on, this is all for the person. This is all for the I. I'm doing all this for me. And I'm doing all this for me because really this me is a bit crap. I don't really like this me. This me is full of problems. This me is full of doubts and insecurities. This me has terrible habits that I want to break. This me maybe drinks too much, has too much sex with random people, is impure, is sinning quite a lot. This me has dirty thoughts and tells inappropriate jokes. This me is terrible with money, doesn't have a very good job. This me isn't very attractive. This me is overweight. This me's background and history were awful. People treated me very poorly. I need to break free of all that. distance myself. This is all in the service of me. So all this seeking stuff that goes on for enlightenment is all for a person who is in some ways in pain, is in discomfort, in distress, wants to be enlightened. And all the while that's going on, something is sort of overlooked in a way. Something very simple. Something extremely simple. So simple that it's almost unbelievable. All there is, when it's looked at, all there is this presence. This presence that does not come or go, it does not change, it does not increase or decrease in any way. This seamless existence, this aware, awake existence, it is not impacted by anything in the world. There's nothing you can do to cultivate it. You can't meditate and get more of it. You can't surrender beliefs and then see it. You can't open up energy centers and clear away the clutter of the mind to see it. The clutter of the mind is it. The blocked energy centers are it. The crude, awful, terrible person that you think you are, is it. Everything is it. It's all, I'm going to use the word accepted. Not a great word, but kind of fits. It's all accepted in this immediacy. How have you ever had an experience of anything being denied in this present instant? Has anything come up that's not allowed and therefore has vanished? No, never. It's all allowed in this. The most awful, horrific acts of humanity exist alongside the most benevolent, incredibly altruistic acts of lovingness you've ever seen in this. It all exists in this. This is the boundless, you could say, infinite, even if you prefer that kind of word, expression of life. This awful character that you think you are, this awful, flawed person, exists in freedom. It expresses in that freedom. We don't know what the role of this awful character is, you could say. Another way to look at it. Maybe, and this is getting a little bit poetic, maybe there's a reason for this flawed, awful character that you are to exist. Even just thinking about it, even just using good old logic, brings a relief in some ways. Why do I have to change or be different? The thinking might go. The character that you think you are is, in some ways, it's being lived, or it is the natural functioning of life. If there is, for example, a person who feels limited and blocked and struggling That's what there is right now. If there's a character who feels amazing, full of life, full of joy, full of meaning, full of purpose, that's what there is right now. That's what exists right now. That's all there is right now. If there's a character who feels like at one point they were very close to enlightenment, perhaps they even tasted what they thought was a non-dual reality for a little while, and then they feel like they lost it and feel sad about that. That's what's happening right now. There's a sad person who thinks they've lost liberation happening right now. If there's a person who feels enlightened, they feel connected to the infinite, and so on, that is what there is right now. That's what's happening, apparently happening right now. Winterview is looking ahead on the road and seeing a very, very nasty coloured cloud. It's almost pitch black, and behind it there's kind of a weird green colour, which makes Winterview think of hail, which makes Winterview nervous about getting the car damaged in a hailstorm. That's happening now. That's appearing now in this. There's a apparent person appearing, sitting in his car, worried about a hailstorm right now, watching the lightning fork across the sky. It's happening now. Winterview can see cars pulled under the footbridge, which is a bad sign for hail happening right now. This is a very ominous looking cloud. Anyway, getting sidetracked, but that's happening now. That's what's going on. X is feeling nervous, a bit agitated, a bit unenlightened, a bit limited, a bit worried about life. That's happening now. It's appearing in this. I could go on and on and on, but I think the picture is clear now. That is the dream that unfolds moment by moment. That's the dream right there. We couldn't extrapolate the dream to everything that's going on because even it gets confusing then. It gets very conceptual, like everything's a dream and nothing matters kind of thing. So let's just leave the dream with the person and the story of the person to make it a bit safer and a bit less likely that the mind will go around conceptualizing everything as a dream. It's a dream and doesn't matter, therefore. Things can matter. Things can matter. Things can move your heart. Things can make you angry. Things can make you sad. You can decide that parts of life are crap and you want to fix them, you want to improve them, and so on and so forth. Anyway, probably better focus on the drive now as the nasty looking storm rolls in. Hopefully we'll live through it and there'll be another brief dialogue shortly thereafter. Thanks again for your time. As usual, comments are very welcome.